Hey players, today I want to share my personal journey of going from being an omnivore to a vegan. Now before you tune out and say, well I'm never going to go vegan so this video is not for me, there are a few gems here about compassion that I think you can apply in your everyday life. So stick around and hear me out. In 2009, when I graduated college, I was getting fat. A big part of that was because everything I ate in college was just garbage. I would eat burgers and pizza and fries and everything else that was greasy and fattening. So when I came back to Brooklyn, I realized I had a gut and it's not something I wanted to keep. And now that I had more free time to start going to the gym, me and my two friends decided we were going to focus hard on our health and our fitness. The problem for me was that I needed a regimen to follow. So I ended up finding out about this book called The New Abs Diet, which talked about specific foods to eat and specific exercises to do. My meals became very consistent. I ate whatever it said to eat in the book. I made switches from bacon to turkey bacon, I ate more eggs, and I drank more milk. My logic at the time was, the book says that these foods are good and they're healthy, so I'm going to stick to it and I'm not really going to question it. This carried on for about 2 years, and I was getting bigger and more muscular, which was a good thing, right? There were a few downsides, like whenever I ate a big meal, I would get severe chest pains, but I thought that was just part of the process. And then in 2011, I met my girlfriend, who at the time was a vegetarian. I had heard about people who were vegetarian, and I just thought it was a personal choice. You don't want to eat meat? Then that's fine. Do what you want to do. For me though, I still ate meat. And I remember specifically sitting in the movie theater next to my friend who was asking me about being with a vegetarian. He asked me, do you always have to brush your teeth after you eat meat before you kiss her? To which I told him, yeah, I felt like it was kind of disrespectful since I ate meat and she didn't, so that was the little thing that she asked me to do. And then immediately after that, he said to me, yo, whatever you do, don't let her convince you to stop eating meat. Just because she doesn't do it doesn't mean you should stop. When he said that, I felt my senses flare up, so I told him, no matter what happens, no one's going to change me and what I choose to eat. And I was completely serious about that. For some weird reason, I felt like what I wanted to do was under attack simply because she was different in that sense. But nevertheless, time went on and I went on to make the Josh Speaks, which is what you're watching right now. In the beginning, I didn't really know exactly what my theme was, and it took me time to develop the concept of being your best self. And as I worked through the kinks of figuring out where the channel was going, I continued to eat meat and my girlfriend continued to serve it for me whenever I went to her house. She didn't like the idea of keeping meat in her home. It made her feel bad, but because I ate it, she did it for me. We had had several conversations about it, which led me to start buying organic chicken, because at the time I thought organic chicken meant they were treated better, right? That's what I kept telling myself. If I'm gonna keep eating things like chicken, at least I can try to eat chicken that was harmed the least. But it wasn't until 2014 that the gears started turning in my head, which stemmed from a conversation I was having with two of my coworkers. One of them was vegetarian and was sitting eating whatever salad she bought. I sat there with my oatmeal, and my other coworker sat there with a turkey or chicken sandwich. Somehow the conversation about how animals as food are treated, so the vegetarian started to explain to the other girl how chickens are beaten and tortured, which made her stop eating her chicken sandwich mid-bite. She just looked down at her food and said, you guys, I feel like I don't want to eat this anymore. Now that I know that it's been tortured, I can't contribute to this. Which I thought was a crazy but logical thing to say. She didn't like that animals were treated this way, so she wasn't gonna support it. Food is a business, and if we don't agree with the ethical choices that the business makes, why would we keep giving our money to it to support it? From here, me and my girlfriend started to discover a lot of the new mock meat companies that were coming out, like Gardein. Because I lived at home, I still just bought my own food, and if all it really required for me was to swap out certain products, chicken for Gardein meatless chicken, then that was an easy thing for me to do. So from that point on, when it came to buying groceries, that was the easy switch for me to make. I just had to replace something with something else in my fridge. The real challenge for me was eating outside. There were so many good foods that I had become so accustomed to eating that I just didn't want to give up. It was way easier for me to give up meat when I ate at home because I only had access to what was in my fridge, so I ate whatever was there. But when I would go out, I would completely indulge. The values that I was building in my home by eliminating meat totally went out the window when it came to eating outside. And this was something that I wanted to start changing. So for me, the best way for me to stick to doing something is to tell everyone I know that I'm gonna do it. And while I talked about it, I certainly didn't be about it. As soon as my job started catering lunch, all of that kind of fell flat again. I had easy access to free food 3 times a week, which generally was a meat dish. I ended up caving and giving in because I saw everyone else doing it too, and I felt like I was alone on that journey. And on days where they didn't cater food, I would end up going out to buy a sandwich called the Essen, which was turkey, bacon, and cheese on a hero. I felt like I was back in my college days eating this heavy garbage which gave me chest pains. It wasn't until one day that one of my coworkers saw me lining up to get food and putting chicken on my plate that he came over and said, "So, how's giving up meat going for you?" I felt like a complete hypocrite. I knew that what I was eating had come from suffering and pain, but I just felt too weak to make an actual change in my life. When I talked to my girlfriend about it, she helped me tremendously. She was on board 100% with helping me give up meat and start making changes in my life. And it wasn't until I bought the Udemy course, Body and Mind Are One by Thich, Nhat, that the final gear turned and everything fell into place. I'm going to link the full video down below, but essentially he tells the story of parents that were fleeing from their country as refugees with their child to escape war. As they were traveling, they were faced with the situation where they had run out of food, and if they didn't find something to eat, all three of them would starve. And as the parents talked, the father told the mother, "Look, we may have to kill and eat our son, because if we survive, we can create a new son. But if we die, he's gonna die as well." So the parents did what they had to do to survive. They killed the son and ate his flesh. With each and every bite of their son's flesh, they would cry because they knew this is not what they wanted to do. The story was told from time to time until it was heard by the Buddha and his fellow monks. So he asked the fellow monks, "Do you think the parents enjoyed eating their child?" The monks simply told him, "No, it's impossible to enjoy eating the flesh of your own son." To which the Buddha said, "Let us then eat compassionately so that we do not eat the flesh of our sons and daughters." He told them to eat in a way where compassion is possible in our heart. And that's when it finally clicked for me. I decided from that moment on that if I was going to truly work towards being my best self, I couldn't live a life where I knowingly contributed to the suffering of others. The biggest part of being your best self is to act mindfully in everything that you do, in what you buy, in what you eat, and how you interact and treat others. And for me, I realized that eating meat, dairy, cheese, buying leather, buying products that were tested on animals, or contributing to any kind of animal suffering was what I didn't want to do anymore. And from that point on, I was vegan. I know the word vegan gets a bad rap because the media creates this image of what vegans are like, or everyone knows a vegan who was mean to them once or twice. But the core tenet of veganism is simply to reduce to the best of your ability your reliance and consumption on animals and animal products, and to not contribute to their suffering. I think that's something that the average person would agree with. I mean, look, if you were faced with a choice to hurt an animal when you didn't have to, why would you choose to do it? But along with the compassionate perspective, there are huge environmental and health factors we should probably look at. I'm not going to break down the full explanation of it all. There are plenty of links in the description that tell it way better than I could. But for me, knowing that a plant-based diet would help reduce and in some cases eliminate the chances of me developing some of the top 10 leading killers in the world, heart disease, high cholesterol, diabetes, and all these other factors, that was a plus. And the fact that a vegan diet contributes the least amount of environmental destruction, we're talking about no animal poop polluting rivers, streams, and the ozone layer. We're talking about not having to tear down rainforests to grow soy crops to feed other animals. We're talking about saving land, water, and other resources. Plus, on a vegan diet, you can get everything you need nutritionally. I'm talking about your protein and your vitamins and your minerals. Just check out some of the links I put down there below. Above all of that, you're no longer willingly contributing to the suffering and death of animals for food consumption. You're no longer eating your son. And over the last year, people have constantly asked me, "Oh, did you go vegan because your girlfriend made you do it?" Which I think is a silly thing to say. Developing a more compassionate lifestyle was influenced by so many people around me. Even meat eaters who would question me led me to think about things deeper, and that pushed me more towards a compassionate path. Making this kind of change may sound completely overwhelming. I totally understand, but everything is small steps. So here are a few small steps you can start taking today. If you eat at home and your parents cook for you, try to convince them to incorporate more mock meats into your dinners. Like I said, Gardein is a perfect option, but if you're looking for replacement dairy products, Daya and So Delicious and Earth Balance provide great options too. Even if you're still eating meat, try to start thinking deeply about what you're eating. Where did your food come from? Was it harmed in the process? Did the animal suffer? Really try to connect with where it came from, because that'll help you start understanding your own ethics a lot better. But most importantly, be open to learning. Like I said, my journey started in 2009, and it wasn't until 2015 that I actually decided to go vegan. There are way more factors on your plate than just taste, and even then, some of the vegan foods taste delicious. But making a change like this can be incredibly scary. There's the fear that your friends will make fun of you, your parents won't let you do it, or you just will feel like you're giving up things that you love. But I can assure you, as you continue working towards being your best self, you're going to hit roadblocks in your life that are going to make you question giving up things that you thought you loved. That's all part of the natural process of growing. There's nothing wrong with feeling scared about change, but don't let that fear cripple you. Aim towards creating less suffering in this world and just overall being a better person. As always, guys, love and peace.